I'm Alex Villarreal with the VOA Special English Health Report. World Suicide Prevention Day was September 10th. This year's observance was meant to bring attention to the differences among suicidal individuals and their situations around the world. But the organizers also said that all over the world, people have something in common. They need to feel connected to others for good mental health. The organizers included the International Association for Suicide Prevention and the World Health Organization. The World Health Organization says that every year about 1 million people kill themselves. It says suicide is one of the top 3 causes of death among people between the ages of 15 and 44. Among people aged 10 to 24, suicide is the second leading cause of death after road accidents. Lenny Berman is president of the International Association for Suicide Prevention. He points out that suicide rates differ from country to country, as do common ways that people kill themselves. As a result, he said, the prevention efforts must fit with local needs. He said the main methods of suicide in developing countries has been pesticides, pesticide poisoning, and overdose. And there has been efforts to develop prevention programs to reduce the use and availability of pesticides. Mr. Berman says findings from agricultural areas of Sri Lanka, India, and China show promise. They show that programs are helping to limit access to these poisons. There are often clear warning signs before a suicide attempt. Lenny Berman says individuals usually talk about the idea before they try it. Another warning sign, he says, is a sudden increase in the use of drugs or alcohol. Warning signs also include expression of hopelessness or a sense of feeling trapped. Mr. Berman says the rate of suicide can be more difficult to identify in children. They generally communicate more with other children than with adults, but the other children often do not understand the messages. As a result, he said, when children speak of suicide, other children rarely report it. For VOA Special English, I'm Alex Villarreal. From VOA Learning English, this is the Education Report. Growing up can be hard in poor neighborhoods where crime is common. That is the situation Marco Antonio Aguilar faced when he started at Garfield High School in Los Angeles, California. The boy hated school. He says he had wrong friends, often missed classes, and even got into fights. The school suspended him, barring him from attending classes. He almost was sent to a school for problem students. But Marco Antonio changed his behavior. He says a talk with his mother helped him change, and he praises his teachers for the help they provided. But now, students at Garfield High no longer receive suspension. The punishment itself has been suspended. Jose Huerta, the Garfield High principal, took the action when he first arrived at Garfield more than 4 years ago. Back then, more than half the students was leaving school without finishing their studies. At the same time, Garfield was suspending nearly 700 students yearly. But Ms. Huerta had other ideas about how to deal with young people who misbehavior. He said most of the suspensions were for behavior known as willful defiance. He said that could include something as minor as chewing gum in class. Under Mr. Huerta's leadership, students involved in willful defiance first talk to a teacher, then a parent may get involved. Finally, group support can be provided. Today, Garfield graduates 85% of its students, and last year, a Los Angeles Unified School District changed its punishment policy. The whole district banned suspension to punish students for willful defiance. For VOA Learning English, I'm Alex Villarreal. From VOA Learning English, this is the Education Report. South Africa has 11 official languages. If you want to say hello, it's Sawubona in Zulu and hello in Afrikaans. Now, South African school children may start using Ni Hao to say hello. The country's Education Ministry hopes to add Mandarin language classes in some schools. Mandarin is the official spoken language of China. This country is a major trading power for South Africa. The two countries recently signed an agreement that identifies 5 areas of cooperation. They include curriculum development, mathematics and science, teacher training, and research and development in basic education. South Africa officials have not said how much the Mandarin language classes will cost. Troy Martens works for the Ministry of Basic Education. She says the new partnership is extremely valuable to both sides. The part of the plan that has gained the most attention is a proposal to offer Mandarin classes in schools. Last year, the public opinion survey showed that South Africans have mixed feelings about China. It found that 46% of South Africans said they dislike the spread of Chinese ideas and customs in their country, and 60% of South Africans said they dislike Chinese music, movies and television. But Ms. Martin says trade with China is more important than those feelings. And she said it is extremely helpful for South African students to learn about the Mandarin language and Chinese culture. And she said not every school will offer the language training. South Africa's census officials have not said how many native Chinese speakers there are in the country. For VOA Learning English, I'm Alex Villarreal. From VOA Learning English, this is the Education Report. Recently, there has been increased efforts to make children in Africa get a good, strong education. But a new report says governments are losing about $129 billion every year on poor quality education. As a result, about 1 in 4 students in poor country cannot read a complete sentence. That represents about 175 million young people. The report comes from UNESCO, the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. It says poor teacher training and spending costs are just 2 of the reasons for school failing. Pauline Rose, an education specialist, directed the report. She says more teachers are needed in African countries south of the Sahara Desert. She says the area needs an additional 225,000 teachers a year to improve primary school education by 2015. Pauline Rose says governments like saving money by using contract teachers. These teachers are not government employees but work by special agreement. Contract teachers can easily be dismissed. In addition, they earn far less money than teachers working for the government. The UNESCO says that governments will need to increase spending on education. In many countries, financial support for education has decreased or stayed the same in recent years. The report praises some countries. It says South Africa provides 6 times more money to teach students in areas with low education levels and high unemployment. And Malawi is creating teacher colleges to train teachers for rural areas. For VOA Learning English, I'm Alex Villarreal. From VOA Learning English, this is the Education Report. United Nations Children's Fund is appealing to international donors to help provide education money for Syrian school children. Safe places to learn, teachers and supplies are all lacking, and almost 2 million young Syrian students have dropped out of school. The UNICEF says about 40% of students from grades 1 to 9 across the nation no longer receive suspensions. The punishment is suspension. No longer attend formal classes. UNICEF spokeswoman Marisa Mercado says about half of those children are now refugees in Lebanon, Jordan, Iraq, and Turkey. In the northern city of Aleppo, for example, only 6% of children of school age are in classrooms, but the school year there and in other locations began as planned on September 15th. Talk of a military strike by the United States had caused uncertainty about starting classes, but schools opened after a strike appeared less likely. Still, many children who once walked to school are now taken there by their parents, and other families have simply left the country. Lebanon now is trying to help about 550,000 school-age Syrian refugee children. UNICEF says the Lebanese public education system can take care of 3,000 Lebanese children. UNICEF is establishing schools for refugee children in buses. In Jordan, UNICEF says about 2/3 of 150,000 school-age children are not in school. In Iraq, UNICEF says 9 out of 10 refugee children are out of school. Inside Syria, Ms. Mercado says the educational system has been torn apart. Both UNICEF and the Syrian government say about 3,000 schools have been damaged or destroyed. For VOA Learning English, I'm Alex Villarreal. Không thể thuộc được nha.